guys.
Hi, it's Lori and Sarah.
Sarah here.
Welcome to Mindful Witchery.
Woohoo!
Yay.
I love episodes like this. We can just catch up.
Me too, especially when we've not seen each other in a bit and we can just catch up on what we've been doing.
Again, I feel like it's been 2 weeks.
I know, I shouldn't spend that much time away from you.
I know, it's so weird. And you're gonna for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know. It makes me sad.
I'm gonna be in finals.
I'm gonna have to be like an obsessive weirdo and get a blow-up poster of you or something and put it on my wall and talk to you.
Oh my god, just you should get one, like a full-blown cutout.
Yes.
And put it at the kitchen table when Roger comes home.
That's it.
Just totally freak him out. And act like nothing.
Yep, just act like nothing.
Just totally. And then you can move me around the house.
Yes. That's funny.
Oh my god, please do that.
Yes, I think I should. I think
you should. I've always wanted to do that, you know how Blockbuster Video.
Oh yeah.
And all that used to have the stand-up. There was one of Han Solo.
Oh, cool.
That my mom used to work at Blockbuster long time ago, and I remember seeing that. I'm like, oh, I want that so bad. And I think she was like, oh, they threw him away. I'm like, why? What? Imagine being the I was gonna call him the dump truck guy.
Oh yeah,
garbage guy.
Yeah,
and opening up the garbage and just seeing Han Solo just fly into your garbage truck.
Matt used to have one that was Napoleon Dynamite. Yes.
Was it full size?
Yes, full size. Yes.
It's a beautiful thing.
And I used to work at a school where there was a teacher that was a huge Yankees fan, and she had a Derek Jeter, full size, life size cutout, and she had it sitting in a part of her room where every time I walked by, I could see it, but I saw it it was kind of in the corner. And one night I was at school by myself. It was dark, just my light was on and the hall light, and I was getting ready to leave, and I got ready to leave, and I literally almost jumped out of my skin because it looked just like somebody standing in the corner, lurking in the corner of her room. I almost died. Mm-hmm. I told her the next day, I said, Nancy, you have to take that away. You have to get rid. I can't. No. Bad memories. It's
like walking through the dark and just seeing eyes. Oh no, I'm all set.
If you could have a life-size cutout of anyone.
Oh my god.
This is a great question, guys. You should seriously answer this question on our Instagram or on our Facebook page. If you could have a cutout of anyone, whether living, dead, whether a movie star, a sports star, who would you have a cutout of?
Tom Hardy in Taboo. That's who I'd have. With his top hat and that
would be huge. He'd be gigantic.
Yep.
Yes.
I'd bring him to bed with me.
Yes. Come on, Tom.
Carson will have to be okay with it. Yes. Come on, Tom. Oh my god.
I just will sit there. I can't even answer my own question because I really don't know. I don't know who I would pick. It would probably
even cartoon characters too.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking at first maybe Bugs Bunny, which would be kind of cool.
Oh, that would be fun.
I'd love Bugs Bunny.
You could decorate them.
Yeah, sure. Holiday. Or I was thinking a life-size skull cutout or a skeleton cutout would be cool because you could dress them for every holiday. It'd be kind of cool.
The Sanderson sisters.
Yes.
Or Beetlejuice. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, Beetlejuice would be fun.
What's the name of the actor? Oh, I always forget
Alec
his name.
Baldwin?
No.
Oh, Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Michael Keaton. He's the man. Or, you know what? No, I know what it would be. It would be Batman.
Which one?
The Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah.
It would be Michael Keaton, Batman, life size. Yes.
Yeah. All right. I think that's a good one.
So, guys, I think that's a great question. If you could have a life-size cutout of anyone, who would it be?
That's a great question. Actually, my mom sent in a question.
Oh.
Let me check. So up on Instagram, I posted something that if you guys had any themes or questions that you wanted us to answer, and my mom sent in a question. Oh, went somewhere. Oh, okay. So the question my mom sent in was, what type of clothing did witches wear through the centuries and now?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it is.
Which
being a witch is different now because I don't think we actually adhere to the whole idea of having a uniform.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think, I might wear more black because I like black, but I also wear pink and orange and yellow.
Yeah,
so
same.
I think that one of the big points to that is, back in the day, a witch did wear. I mean, this is where we come up with the wardrobe, the stereotypical wardrobe. They did have capes. They did have specific hats that they wore. There were all kinds of things that they actually did.
Yeah, and depending on where you live too, I'm pretty sure they probably dressed a lot like how everybody else dressed. Because I know, like, when we think of witches, we think of the cape and the hood and stuff. But I think everybody had to wear stuff like that, especially, like, more like Celtic.
And during the witch
traditions.
trials,
Oh
you
my God.
had to blend in.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, if
Yeah.
you had on something that was even remotely not puritanical or something like that, you would be seen as a witch.
Yeah.
So you probably had to blend into your surroundings. And I think now we choose to do that. It's not out of fear or any type of fear of repercussions or anything like that. It's just that I think that we put less emphasis on.
Yeah, because I mean, in the 18th century, 17th century, they didn't have pentagram necklaces on, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think they had different. Actually, what I'm thinking is they probably dressed like everybody else did, because I don't think people were really into as much fashion, especially like in villages and stuff. But there was probably certain symbolic things that they would carry around and wear, like maybe brooches, or people who were more into herbology probably like wore like little bundles of lilac or things like that I can imagine.
And a lot of times you would find yourself, after the Salem witch trials, you would have found yourself as not necessarily being persecuted for being a witch, but a lot of witches lived independently outside the villages, outside of the town. They were different.
They were herbalists.
Yes, they were herbalists. They were, they had they had spells. They had, all the things. They were medicinal, all kinds of things. And wearing a cape is quite warm.
Yeah, right? Especially in New England.
Yes, exactly.
I wish more people wore hooded capes.
Yes, me too.
Like, we should just go back to that.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah, and too, like, most people probably didn't consider themselves witches either. Like, especially in the Salem witch trials, right? I don't think any of them were.
No, of course not.
But some of them, probably practiced herbology, which was actually quite common because that's their form of medicine, right? And I'm sure they were Christian, too.
Yes.
Right? And, like, I've never really thought about this, but I'm sure they were all Christian. I'm sure a lot of people who were considered, like, quote-unquote witches had Christian faith of some sort, but then they practice things like working with plants and like maybe spirits and plants. But I think it was really
rocks, minerals.
Yeah, they just had more of a respect for more of the nature part of things.
And I think when you can't explain something, it kind of goes back to I always say this about things like Greek mythology, and legends, old tales. When you can't explain something by science, you have to put, again, going back to our need to compartmentalize, we have to be able to explain it some way.
Yeah.
So if this person is practicing with herbs that maybe we don't know what the herbs are, maybe we're not familiar with those particular herbs she's working with, she's a witch.
The devil.
Yeah, the devil, it's all about the devil. Yeah, that's how you explained everything because you had no science behind what was happening. It's just like with Greek mythology. I mean, you didn't have a way to explain it scientifically, so you had a god that
stories
practiced this stories.
Like
Hinduism has a lot of that too.
Yeah.
A lot of people who have multiple deities, that's an explanation. Gods and goddesses. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just now we have science to back up things.
Thank God.
And now we don't have to call everybody who wears heather, a sprig of heather on their coat, a witch.
Yeah, some people still do.
Some people like purple.
I just thought of when you were talking, the modern definition of a witch, and when people think of witches, is a very Christian foundational concept. I consider myself a witch, but I consider myself a pagan, which is one of the oldest, I was going to call it a lifestyle, but like traditional lifestyles.
Because philosophy.
Yeah, because it wasn't called a religion. I think Christians were the one that were like, that's a religion. I don't think
pagan religion.
Yeah, I don't think when they were practicing it, they're like, no, this is our lifestyle.
I heard somebody one time say that saying the pagan religion is an oxymoron. It doesn't, because paganism is not a religion.
No, it's a lifestyle. But a lot of people who come from like a Christian mindset, they probably put that label on it, most likely. And like that's where like the whole like aura around witches came from. Ew, that's fascinating, actually.
It makes you want to say when people are celebrating Easter, do you know where Easter came from?
Most people here don't.
Yeah, it's so, it is kind of frustrating sometimes. I look at all of the ways that that organized religion has adopted pagan philosophies. And
Yeah, we almost have to function within that framework too to explain and understand what we do too. Like we kind of have to function within that Christian framework because that's the framework and the terminology that most people know, which is fine. You know, like I call myself a witch. That's fine because that's like generationally, that's just like what I am. But that's fascinating. I've never really thought about that too much.
sometimes it can kind of be strange because I've had people who know that I'm a witch who will introduce me to other people and we'll have a conversation going and it'll be not introducing me as a witch but as a pagan. I don't know whether that's a little more palatable to people, but I've had people introduce me that way that, she's pagan, you know.
Yeah.
Not she's a witch. And I'm like, there's really no, I don't mind if you say that. You know, it's okay.
Yeah.
You can call me whatever you want to.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like, I think, personally, I feel more comfortable saying I'm a pagan.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, because of that narrow definition that a lot of people see it through, they would understand me better if I said I was a pagan, which I'm totally fine with. That's fine. I mean, I'm a pagan, so.
Yeah, it is. A witch is a pagan,
Yeah.
but a pagan isn't necessarily a witch.
Yeah.
You know, so it's...
Yeah. Like, there's more explaining we have to do. If
Yeah.
we're like, I'm a witch. Like, like, sometimes
wow.
I don't want to have that conversation.
Yeah, it's this really, it's a really weird, it's sometimes I wear this pentagram, and sometimes when I'm at work, I'll shove it down my shirt.
Yeah.
You know, but when I'm home or when I'm out being me, I just keep it out. And if it brings up a conversation, then it brings up a conversation. But when I'm at work, I usually will put it in my shirt.
Yeah, but when you see somebody wearing a cross, there's like no...
Right. Or a Buddha.
Yeah,
or,
there's no
you know,
thought. A lot of people just like don't think about it.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's neat. But you see a pentagram and you automatically think, oh my God. She's like into Satan. She's into the Dark Lord.
The whole... I think, you know, maybe like your generation, like the Satanic Panic that happened in the 80s. I love... Sammy's back.
She's drinking water.
I was listening to Cults. It's a podcast. And I listened to one all about the Satanic Panic. The 80s, right? Correct?
Yep. Because there would have been televangelists really driving home the idea of, you know, Satan is this and Satan is here and Satan is doing this. Everything was explained by Satan.
Yeah. And I think that's when it was the whole witch persona got shoved underneath the
Satanic. The rock bands would use it just to get a rise out of people.
Wasn't it like you played one of the Beatles songs backwards?
And like
it was
talked about
like
Satan.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was, and people were literally sitting in their bedrooms at home with their turntables, ruining a Beatles album.
Oh my God.
By spinning it backwards.
I wonder what Karen came up with that one.
Oh my God. And that was when we had all of the censorship, started having the censorship of lyrics and certain music. So it kind of went hand in hand. It was an easy way to say, well, you don't want your kid listening to this because it's all about witchcraft and Satan. Look at the pentagram.
Yeah.
You know, and look at the, you know, that Wasp album where they have that pentagram in the background. I mean, it was just, a lot of people did that. A lot of bands did that to get a rise at the time.
Yeah. And what was the hip-hop band that started with? I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Man, Two Live Crew.
No, it will come to me later. I'll figure it out. But yeah, there was a and they went to court about it.
Luther Campbell and Luther Campbell.
I was going to say I don't remember, but I wasn't really there.
Yeah, you weren't there.
No.
I was around. I was hanging. I was a teenager. I should know this.
At the end of the 80s.
I should know this. But yeah, there's so much propaganda surrounding, you know, witches and I don't know.
Some of it's good. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Some of it, like, I mean, the whole Salem thing. I mean, I'm all into it. I'm all for it.
And I like the mystery. I like it when people come in. Like, right behind you, I have, like, the Witch's Bible. I have the Book of Shadows. You know, all these books behind you. And I've had people sit here before, and I don't even think a thing about.
Right?
And, you know, because it's to my back, because I usually sit where you sit. That's, like, my spot. And went for dinner and things. But if you have somebody here who's sitting on the opposite side of the table who can see those books.
Seem like leaning, like,
That's interesting. What is that all about? Yeah. I don't think about it. I really haven't just thought about it until just now that those books, you know, are sitting there and people are probably like, what's that?
I wonder. Oh, Lori.
Oh, you crazy thing. Yeah. I think they get a little confused with all the Buddhist stuff and the Hindu deities and the witchcraft books and the tarot cards. Yeah,
That's okay.
it's a little confusing, and that's okay.
Oh, I actually get to talk about tarot cards for a second. I was telling Lori earlier that I've talked about it before, but I'm in a psychology of death and dying class, and we were talking about meditation and things like that, and I got to talk about it for a bit. And somebody in class posed a really interesting question at the end of class, and I said, and it was kind of like in relation to like what we were talking about, but she asked about mediums. And like she kind of asked the teacher, but the teacher opened it up to the rest of us, like, what do you think of mediums? And kind of like in relation to like them talking to people who are dead, things like that. And like I was really trying to hold my tongue because I wanted people to talk and nobody had anything to say. So I'm like, I like raised my hand, like, oh my God,
pick me.
and I started it like, I'm very opinionated about this subject, so I'll try to keep it short. But I mentioned about how like there's a lot of things, like a big part of what we do is we try to dispel a lot of the myths. We try to kind of like drop the mic on things like this, and how dangerous it can be in the wellness world because a lot of people who are mediums, not everybody. I'm not. I am not the first. I'm the first one to say that it's not like I don't believe it, but there's no scientific foundation behind a lot of it, so I can't go either way. Like I'm like right in the middle. But with that, I said how dangerous it can be, and a lot of people have the wrong idea when it comes to mediums, especially even like tarot readings, because they go to it thinking that everything this person is telling them is fact. And that could be extremely dangerous.
Absolutely. It's very general. It's very, I mean, just after doing a lot of tarot is very general. And I will tell people beforehand, I'm not a medium.
Yeah.
That's not my area. And these cards that you're picking, you know, a lot of times the energy of the universe is what causes these particular cards to be picked because it's what your energy is sending out, and what it needs. And you can look at tarot cards a million different ways from Sunday. I mean, you can draw the same 3 cards for the same people, and it'll be a different reading every time. Tarot is about instinct.
Yeah.
It's not about mediumship.
Not only the reader's instinct, but the person on the opposite end of the cards that you're reading for. Your perception is everything. And it's why the cards came out, in a way. I hate even to say that, but you know what I mean? And so I was trying to explain that, like, that it's the responsibility of the reader, and it's the responsibility of somebody who calls himself a medium to give those disclaimers and make sure the person on the opposite end knows exactly what you mean.
Yes, and what your intention is, and be very clear and transparent. And I guess I'm hard on mediums because I guess I've always kind of thought, well, if you're a medium, why do you need tarot cards? You know, to me, tarot cards are a completely different outlet than mediumship. And just that's just my opinion. I think if you're a medium, I guess I look at it as your tools of the trade are very different from a person who uses tarot cards. Yeah. I don't really understand why mediums need tarot cards, but
and we both know a lot of mediums, and that's the thing. And I even said that, I'm like, I'll start by saying I actually know a lot of mediums and people who claim to be mediums, and I know tarot card readers, and I know, you know, that's the world I live in. But on the flip side, I also take it with a grain of salt because I'm not trying to dispel it in any way, but also realizing how dangerous it can be because, like, when it comes to death and dying and mediums contacting past loved ones, those people that you're reading are in such vulnerable spots, they will probably believe anything you tell them. And if you're really good at reading people, which is a gift, if you're like an intuitive, which I do believe in, right? Like I feel like we are, because we have certain parts of our personality.
And when you're empathic, when you're an empath, it's different.
You know, you can be a really good medium. And, you know, I've even met some that I'm like, how the hell did you know that? But, like, random stuff I have never told anybody. So that's why I'm kind of, like, on the fence. But I'm like, you also need to go into it realizing that there are people in that world that are there to manipulate you.
And there's such a thing as free will. And I always tell people that, especially when I read tarot, is there is such a thing as free will. Your life is your own. And if you choose to focus or you choose to emphasize that card and the meaning that we got from that card together, then that's your free will.
Yeah, that's your choice.
That's your choice. But just remember, once you leave this room, once you leave this table, your choices are what are going to affect.
Yeah. I think that's the problem, too, because a lot of people, you can tell them that all day long, but at the end of the day, maybe their personality or how they're taught, they will probably just do whatever you tell them because they can't see that choice of free will. They don't know how to do that.
What makes tarot such a nice experience is when you actually make it very active, and you let them participate. When you say, let's look at this card first. Let's do past, present, and future. Let's look at this card first. What colors stand out to you?
Yeah, like what do you see?
Yeah, what do you see? And I love to be able to say to people, now take what you saw and journal it.
How can you plug it into your life?
Right. How can you take this? Because to be honest, I could pick up, out of 99 cards, I could pick out 78 cards, I could pick out number 74 and 76, and they're really going to resonate with you in different ways, depending on how you look at them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I've learned with tarot is that it's so much better and so much more meaningful when you make the person an active participant.
Yeah, you're just a guide.
Yeah, right. Just rather than just sitting there going, okay, we're going to turn these cards over. This is what I see. This is what's going to happen to you. This is what happened to you, which is going to result in what's going to happen to you in the future. It's so much better when you let them pick. I mean, granted, that means that you're not I think they come to you and they think you're going to tell them something prophetic.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And that's how you get paid.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I mean, I do tarot readings for free because because I do want them to participate. I don't want them to feel like they're obligated to pay me for a tarot reading.
Yeah.
I love doing tarot, and that's why I do it. It's just like the oracle cards. You can pick any oracle card, and it can speak to you on any level.
Totally different level.
And it's your job as the person who chose it to choose how you're going to make that card work or not work for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've picked out cards from guided decks, angel cards, things like that, and I've looked at it and gone, I don't really see how this is going to affect me, but day 3 afterwards, I'm like, you know what? Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's why I really advocate for journaling.
I agree.
I think that you're only doing yourself half the good when you're just drawing cards.
Yeah.
I think you really have to journal. You owe it to yourself to journal it. Yeah. I actually talked to somebody this week who I just could have sworn was a journal writer. She's so deep and so wonderful and so insightful and instinctual about everything she does that I just knew she was that she kept a journal. So I asked, and she's like, "Oh no, I've never kept a journal." Like, that surprises me because you're so intuitive. You're so, I just pictured her as a journal writer. So now, hopefully, she will be a journal writer because she really needs to. Absolutely, she's just the kind of person who would be able to gain a lot of meaning out of a journal.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I go in and out. I think I journal when I need to, and I actually, surprisingly, a lot of people will be surprised by this. I actually don't use tarot cards anymore, really, right now in my life, because I did for a long time, and I think. We talked about in our seedy underworld episode that I'm going to call it a stain on a lot of the things I used to practice for me. There's like a shadow over all of them.
A negative juju.
There really is. Because I can honestly say I was that person who went to mediums and tarot card readings, looking for answers, looking for somebody to tell me because I couldn't figure it out on my own. And being like, maybe this person can guide me. Maybe this person can guide me. And unfortunately, I met a lot of people who were there, whether they were aware of it or not, to manipulate me.
Yes.
And so it's hard because, like, I've been to mediums that are great, right? Like, I'm like, you are awesome. But I have to take a step back and be like, why, though? What mental place was I in? And I don't want to, like, downplay people's jobs, and if that's what you do, but I will be honest to say that I don't believe you 100%, and I think it's unfair to the people you work with to be like, what I say is fact, and it's unfair that you don't say please take what I say with a grain of salt, and like just know what you're getting into when you work with me and like all that stuff. And I just don't think, putting myself on a pedestal, hold on, let me jump up on my pedestal, that people who work in mediumship and people who work with tarot cards, I don't think a lot of them have the mental capacity to understand that. Because they want to feel special.
To be really honest and to be really transparent with the person that you're reading, you're honoring them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing. I think I look at it as, when I do a tarot reading with somebody, I am honored that they chose to come to me to help process whatever's happening for them. That's another example of, like we talked about Reiki being holding a space for somebody.
Yeah.
I think that tarot reading and mediumship is the same thing.
100%.
A medium, when a medium gets to the point where I am the almighty, I am the one who's giving you what you need, then there's a problem.
There's a problem.
But I think that you have to see yourself as, when somebody's willing to come to you, just like with Reiki, I think when somebody is willing to come to you to help them process through whatever it is that they're going through, physically, mentally, whatever it is, you should feel honored. And in feeling honored, you should do the very best and the most honest thing that you can do, which is be transparent.
Yeah.
And
transparent and open.
Let them participate in the healing and the process of what you're doing. And that's when you have the most effect. And that's what you should be in it for. You should be in it to give that person what they need.
Yeah.
In an honest, sincere, compassionate way.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it for that reason, then I don't know.
Yeah. Time to take a step back.
Yeah, time to take a step back.
Yeah. I agree. I am right there with you. And especially if you're in that job too, doing that, like holding space for people. Like, I can only speak for personal experience because that's what I used to do. I used to run meditation classes. I used to work with people with Reiki and massage. And it almost, as soon as I stopped being able to hold space for people in a way that I thought that served them and to honor these people, and it started burning me out, that's when I knew I needed to stop. And I'm so happy I did. I miss parts of it, but at this time in my life, I can't hold space for many people like I was doing, because I'm too separated from it now. And I don't think I'll go back. I'll go back to doing meditation, of course, but...
See, I actually had a really good experience this week because, I mean, Reiki has been few and far between because of COVID. And I reconnected this week with a friend, a client who... really, it was so beautiful and so nice to reconnect with Reiki. I had almost forgotten how important it was to me and how the process of being with another person and sharing that kind of energy, how much it means and how much it gives to me. And I really reconnected strongly with Reiki this week. I mean, it was really strong and has made me feel much better about going back to doing Reiki
That's so
again,
great.
you know, and really going at it for the right reason. I'm so honored and so amazed that people want to come to me for things like that.
You're really good at it.
It's just I just feel like just completely honored that they're there, and I want to do everything I can to make sure that the experience they have is something that is healing, something that is what they need to walk out of the room with.
And they feel it. I think that's it too. It's like, whatever you're doing, like you in particular, whatever you're doing, you're so good at holding space for people. You could be doing Reiki or doing backflips, and somebody will probably still come to you because of like the energy that you hold in a room.
And if you can't do that anymore, like if Reiki has become something that's just a job, then you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it. It's because it's more than, and it's okay. Yeah, it's okay to be that way. It's okay to feel that way.
Okay.
And with mediumship, I always tell people, anybody can become a medium.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a matter of focus and really, focusing in on the little things. I mean, there's all kinds of training for becoming a medium.
Honing there's certain instincts that you can hone in on and train sensory related things. That I agree. Some people are born with
some people are born
more
with
heightened parts of that. But I agree. Everybody can, develop aspects of that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, I know all of us at some point or another have had an instinct about something.
Yeah.
But we thought it sounded so silly
Yeah.
that we didn't tell the person, and then it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the craziest thing. And I think that's such a point of mediumship. Good mediums don't care. You know, they follow entirely their instinct. Like if they see something or feel something or sense something, they don't just drop it. They're like, okay, I need to tell you this
Something's
because
nagging me.
Something's nagging me. I have to tell you, you know. And I think they have more of a nag instinct.
Yeah.
It eats
That's
away
what
at them.
It's called the universal nag.
Yeah. It's like it eats away at them until they say something. But as soon as you can get past the point where you don't think people think you're crazy, then I think that it really helps with the mediumship piece.
Yeah. And I think it's, I'm glad we're talking about this. This is an interesting conversation because we didn't really talk about mediumship.
No, we haven't talked about it. I have a lot of mediums that I've been to that I really respect.
Oh, yeah.
And who have told me things that I'm going, even I am shocked at what you knew. But then I've been to some who I know are fishing.
Yeah.
You know, they fish for it. They're like, oh, yeah, I see a tall man with a big boxy chest. I'm like, well, I don't know who that is. Well, maybe he has less of a boxy chest and more of maybe it's just the way I'm seeing it.
They're just really good at that. And some aren't, though.
Some fish, and they're really, really good at fishing, and I fall right into that. You know, I'll bet, that. And
it's easy to. And I think it's important to admit that we're all capable of falling into that. Nobody's susceptible to that.
We're all vulnerable in some way. And unfortunately, there are bad people out there who play on who read those vulnerabilities, which is a talent, and who play on those vulnerabilities for money or for recognition or for just the fact that you're going to go out and tell your friends what they told you and they're going to get honored for that or whatever. But if you're doing it for any other reason than to honor the person who's there with you, then it's not right.
Yeah, and if you want to go, like that too, if you want to go get tarot card reading, if you want to go get Reiki, and if your impression of that person is that they're putting themselves above you in some way, or you can literally like see the ego like vibing off of them, walk out. Walk out, because that person's not better than you. That person is equal to you. And that person's only there to hold space for you. And if you feel anything else, walk out. It's not worth your money. It really isn't.
I always think about things like processing. You know, any of these people, whether it's a medium, a tarot card reader, a Reiki therapist, they're there for you to process through things, to guide you, but not to lead you.
Yes.
They're there to guide and to provide the things that you need to move forward in your path, not to lead you. You know, there's a huge difference between guiding and leading. So, just keep that in mind. If you go for a Reiki session or to a tarot card reading or anything like that, and you feel like the person's leading you rather than processing and guiding
they're giving you advice, walk out. Like psychological advice, walk out. That's not what they're there for.
Or diagnosing you.
Oh God, Lori.
I know we've talked about this kind of stuff before, but if they're diagnosing you with, well, you might be a little depressed, they're not clinicians.
No, and I think there's so many blurred lines. I recently learned about in Massachusetts, like specifically, that they are starting to crack down again on energy workers. Acupressure, I believe, Reiki, all that stuff. And I read it, and I get it that a lot of people don't want it to happen because it's going to take a lot of people out of their jobs. It really is. But I will not sign that. There's stuff in this bill, I believe, like I don't know enough about it to like fully talk about it, but there's stuff in it that I don't agree with, but there's more things in it that I agree with. And so I hope it goes through.
I do too. I
might lose some friends over this. Sorry, guys.
I think that you have to be held accountable. If you are working with the public, if you are working with people in a way that is going to affect them physically or psychologically or both, you should be held accountable. You should be held accountable not only in terms of what you do, but what you know.
Yeah. And one of the main reasons for this bill, too, why they're cracking down, is because, unfortunately, there's such a high rate of sex trafficking in this community. And it's not something a lot of people know about or talk about.
Isn't that crazy?
But it's very much true. Like, there is sex trafficking in the massage industry, which more people know about because it's more regulated. But it's still happening right here in Massachusetts. It's happening all across this country. And it's happening in the Reiki community, and it's happening in the energy healing community. You know why? Because it's not regulated. And I think stopping that is more important than somebody not going to get more school.
If you think about all the ways that you can become a Reiki practitioner, I mean, I think about I went through the Reiki classes, 1, 2, 3, and then after I was done, that was just the base.
Yeah.
Like that was the foundation for what I would learn later on my own and from other people. But I know people who've gone online and gotten their Reiki certification, became a Reiki master.
It's so easy
online.
to be able to call yourself a Reiki practitioner. And that's not downplaying, right? Like, we've both done stuff online and in person, but anybody can call themselves an energy worker.
You don't have to have Reiki 1, 2, and 3 to be able to.
No, Joe down the street can be charging $100 to do energy work
because he watched a video on YouTube.
He watched a video on YouTube, and I don't think a lot of people know that. And so just be careful. I know I got a little heated, and but it's a subject that I'm so passionate about.
We're so passionate about it too, because we really care about the outcome and the cause and effect of what this can do to people. And we both know, you and I both know people who should not be practicing Reiki.
Yeah. I know.
Because not only do they not know enough about what they're practicing, but they don't know why they're practicing, and their intent is not good.
Yeah.
So you just have to be aware. It's like anything else. Just because it's not regulated and everything doesn't mean you shouldn't shop for the best you can get.
Exactly. Exactly. Ask for credentials. Ask for how many years they
how long have you been doing this?
Yeah. Ask. Have them show you their certificate. Even when you go for a massage, a lot of people, I have never been asked once where I went to school or how many hours I have, how many years. But I always made it clear to people I'm working with, I've been doing this for this long. Even when I was first starting out, please let me know. It's all about conversation and creating that space for people to feel comfortable with you. And to going back to the regulation stuff, too, because I know that you're not a massage therapist. And I know this too, that if they put regulation on it, you can't practice.
Right.
And I feel bad for saying that at the same time, and friends I know who do it for a living. But I think it's worth it. I'm so sorry.
No,
I was just thinking about that. Because I'm oh my God, you will lose your job.
But it's not. But it's something I do. I wouldn't care to go back to school.
Yeah.
To be able to get more. In terms if there were regulations that were put down for me.
You'd have
so
to
I wouldn't mind.
School.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that at all if that were to be the case. But I think it's
fun.
more important. It's more important to have the regulations there, and it's more important for us to make sure that everyone is safe.
Yeah, there's more issues at play than we could possibly talk about in this episode when it comes to regulating energy work. And it's a tricky thing. It's very complex.
And when you're dealing with people, and I mean, you and I both know people who have over time have told you ways to get around the rules.
And I fell into them.
get your minister's license.
Yeah.
Because that's the only other way other than massage therapy that you can practice.
Yeah, and unless you're a spiritual advisor and have training, I don't know. It's dangerous. It could be really dangerous. And it's so individual, too. It's case by case basis. And if the state looked at every single case, nothing would ever get done.
It's really weird. It's really weird. And I think that once it comes down to the practicing the two, I think they're going to have to do some bending, because I think that they're going to have to look at level of experience. Things like, how long have you been practicing Reiki?
I wonder if people will be grandfathered in.
And there'll be people grandfathered in, I think.
Yeah.
And then there'll be, there'll have to be some compromise with the massage therapy schools of, okay, you've had this many years experience, so you get this much credit toward, being, because there are certain things that overlap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But as far as just moving forward and getting more credentials, then I would be perfectly willing to do that if it meant that people were safe.
It'd be so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Even for people who do Reiki and energy work,
mm-hmm.
to at least know the basics of the human body
Mm-hmm.
and the anatomy. Take anatomy and physiology. Oh my God, it will change your life. It will change your life. And I know I can say this, regulate it, because I am a massage therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and I do have that perception of like, everybody should just get their massage license, and that's not what I'm saying.
Well, and the massage therapist who's gone to school for 2 years, 3 years, is it fair and equitable for a person to be able to get a Reiki certification online and come in and make as much money as a massage therapist? It's
I don't think so.
No, I don't either.
And I could say that because I've worked my ass off,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my own ego and that talking. But, because that's it too. Reiki practitioners who do energy work and stuff like that may get paid more or just as much as massage therapists. Mm-hmm. And that's the inequality thing. There's so many social issues going on.
And we are by no
complex.
means trying to keep you from taking Reiki 1, 2, 3, Reiki Master courses, Reiki Teacher courses, and practicing on your family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that when people are aware,
exactly,
but this is not to say you shouldn't, because that's the basis. That's the absolute basis, because you're not going to get Reiki in massage therapy school.
Not so much.
So
you learn about it.
Yeah.
I learned about it.
But to have that baseline and to be able to move forward with classes about anatomy and physiology, and really, because you and I are kind of like one person, because we're one great individual.
I know, because we can only merge and just be this.
I cover like when we do a class together, I will cover like a lot of the spiritual aspect, the metaphysical aspect, and then you come in with the anatomy, and it all makes sense if you put it together. It's science. It really is, and I don't think anybody is discounting that there is a scientific basis behind what Reiki does, and what it should do. But there are people out there who forego the idea of science and are just looking at making $50 for a session, for a 30-minute session.
They just want to focus on the woo.
Yeah.
And that's it. But you have to be balanced. Mm-hmm. And I think, honestly, that's one of the biggest issues in the wellness community. Mm-hmm. There needs to be more balance.
Yes.
Because there's people on the far left, the woo, and then there's people on the far right, the scientists. Like, I know massage therapists, it's just massage therapy. There is no woo, there is no crystals, there is no essential oils. They are going to you because they got hurt and they just need to feel better and relax. Mm-hmm. You can relax and not have all that other stuff. I think it would be great to have a happy medium.
To have a merge, yeah.
Because there are parts of more like Eastern traditions and more alternative therapies that complement more of the scientific principles so well. Like cupping, amazing. It's awesome. Check it out. Like acupressure, all that stuff. But
it all comes from a very ancient place.
Yeah. To me, if you're touching somebody, physically, like touching somebody, there needs to be credentials. There needs to be more than you just having a
minister's license.
Minister's license. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah, that didn't go where I was expecting it to.
It's supposed to be a happy conversation.
Yeah, but but I think that we're so passionate about this because we care about each and every person that comes across our field of vision.
Yeah, know what you're getting yourself into. And I think we can say that too because we both have found ourselves in situations that we may have not known what we're getting ourselves into. And so I know for me, if I can prevent any pain or hurt or
even
anything
one
from
person,
happening, just education is everything at the end of the day. And you'll not know everything. And you'll still find yourself in situations where you're like, damn, like, why was I around those people?
Yeah.
Because that's life. Life is hard, and that's what life is about, right? But, God, if I could prevent somebody from spending lots of money and...
Yeah, for nothing.
Getting awful advice.
Advice when advice shouldn't be given.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not psychologists, guys.
No, unless you've gone to school for the 8 years it takes, nobody should be giving you advice.
So...
Yay! Do you smell gas?
It's our our oil vent is out there.
Oh.
So, or our our air vent is out there. So when you have that window open, you smell it. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, oh God. What a great way to end a podcast. Yes. All right. Do you want to end on a happy note?
Yeah, sure.
Something good. Something good that's happened to you this week.
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, just going back to what I said earlier, I think reconnecting with Reiki was a really, really I needed it. It was a wonderful time to do it. It was the perfect timing. It was just nice to reconnect with Reiki.
Something good for me is, I was going to say I'm almost done with finals. I think that's good. Yeah, I've been plugging away, working on finals, and my research proposal is coming out great. Oh no.
Sorry guys. Water went down the wrong way.
Oh no.
And on that note,
bye guys.
bye guys.